Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a hardened SSH server using SSH keys and a few important techniques. Here's a quick overview of the steps we will be following. Alright, let's get started. In today's video, I'm going to show how to set up SSH keys using CentOS as our SSH server and Windows as our client. Alright, now we're going to get started by installing the SSH server on our CentOS machine here. So we're going to use sudo dnf, which is the package manager for CentOS, install, and then we're going to use open ssh/server, and this will get us downloading it right here. Typically on Ubuntu, you just write ssh, and now we have our server downloaded. We need to make sure everything is running, so we're going to use sudo sysadmins, and then we're going to use status SSH D. That's the daemon it uses. Now we need to make sure that it's running, so we need to use start SSH, and now it's running, and it's already enabled by default. So now we're gonna edit the SSH configuration file. The reason we want to do this is to change the port number from 22, which is its default, to 2222. And the reason we do this is just a common hardening technique, which will make it less likely for your server to be scanned by port scanners, as bots normally are set to 22 by default. We go to here and we add port 22, and this will tell the service to use port 22. We will also add permit root login no, because you do not want someone logging in as a sudo user. And this is a really important one as well, allowed users. This allows you to tell only certain users are able to actually log in to your machine, because you don't want any guest accounts be able to SSH and gain privileges that they shouldn't have. So now we will save this, and we need to also tell Cell Linux, which is like the security system on Red Hat systems, that we added this port for SSH. This is something you have to do or else you'll get a error. So you use symanage port -a-t SSH underscore port underscore t minus p, and then TCP, which is what SSH uses, and then 2222, and this will tell symanage that we're using port 222 as our for our Linux server. Now that we've made these changes, let's use sudo systemic, and then we're going to use restart to make sure our changes are all correct and we don't have any syntax errors. Systemic restart SSHD, because that's the name of the daemon it uses, and everything's working correctly. We can check that our service is actually using the nil port number if we use status, and it says right here in the bottom port 222. That tells you that everything is set correctly. Now we need to enable it through the firewall so that the service can actually reach outside the computer. And on Red Hat systems, we use firewall D instead of uncomplicated firewall, which is my favorite for its simplicity. So you use firewall permanent, and then we use add port, and it's going to equal 2222/TCP, since that's the transfer protocol we're using. Now we need to enact these changes by using reload. Alright, it says I have a you have to do these dashes here. Have it reload. Now the changes are loaded. Now let's make sure this was actually added. So use firewall-cmd, and then use list all to see all the changes you've added. And we can see right here we added 222 as our nil port. Now we will go on Windows, and now we're going to generate the SSH keys. We're going to use SSH/keygen, and then we're going to type -t and then we use ed22519. And how this process is going to work is we're going to download our key, and we're going to say no since you have I don't need the right one. Once you've generated your private key on your Windows computer, you no longer need to continue to make new private keys. How it works is you're giving a public key to your server, which your private key generates. So you only need one private key. So now we're going to copy the public key over to the server. So we're going to use SCP. This is our transfer protocol using SSH. And then we need to specify our port number 22222. And then we're going to need to specify the direction of our public key. So if we go back up here, it's already telling us the majority of what we need to know. So there should be a public key that has .pub at the end. You can find this in files, but we're just going to type it here to make this quicker. And Windows uses the other way of slash. And now we need to specify the machine that we're going to be transferring this to. So we're going to type in the user.192.168.1 and then .73. This is the user, and now we need to specify the directory. So when we transfer the SSH public key, we need to have it in a special location that the SSH server will be able to detect. So we're going to type /home/temp, which is our user, and then SSH, and then we're going to do authorization keys. This is going to be like this. Authorization keys. Actually, I just realized these are all backwards. I just know that the Linux ones are the opposite direction of the Windows ones. And then we're going to type authorization keys. Authorized keys. And now we're going to have to type in the password for the user. Now that the key is transferred over, we should build a SSH into our server. So we're going to use SSH, specify the port of our server, which is 2222, and then we're going to type in the user, which is going to be temp, and then the same address as before, 192.168.1.43. And now we should build a login without logging in. And as you can see, the SSH key works now from Windows to a Linux CentOS server. Now we're going to do some optional file hardening to wrap up this video. Now that we're logged in, we're going to use sudo nano, and then it's under etc SSH, and then SSHD. This is going to be the configuration file for our SSH server. And now we go down here. Some common hardening tactics we can also tack on is now that we have our SSH keys, we don't have a reason to have this for password off. We can select that no, so people need to use SSH keys. Now the max tries, we can also set this to 3 different people from brute forcing in, and then we set permit empty passwords no, so that nobody can just create an account with no password and then log in. That wouldn't make any sense. And yeah, that wraps up the whole entire video for today. Now you know how to SSH using keys from a Windows client to a CentOS server. And thank you for watching my video. And if you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe to support me making this type of content.